Give it a try. After obtaining a cultivation technique without any flaws, Zhang Xuan doesn't hesitate to follow the method recorded in the Heaven's Path Divine Art and starts to meditate. The pores on his body widens as he absorbs spirit energy from the air into his body. Fighter 4 Dan. 1 Dan juxi, 2 Dan dantian, 3 Dan zhenqi, 4 Dan pigu. Juxi realm, cultivators would learn innate breathing and sensing of spirit in the air. Also, they would gain the ability to look into their body and control the flow of spirit energy in their body with their mind. Dantian realm, the opening up of a cultivator's dantian, to allow it to hold spirit energy as well as to reform his body, turning a normal human into a true fighter. Zhenqi realm, the gathering of the spirit energy in the dantian to create zhenqi. Pigu realm, the zhenqi-filled dantian will overflow and enrich one's body, causing the cultivator's physical body to become powerful. The capabilities of their organs will also be strengthened, thus turning them into true experts. The first 3 dans of a fighter are the building of foundations. Only at the 4 dan does the result of one's cultivation truly reflects on one's body, causing one to stray away from illnesses and become stronger. The cultivation method of Hongtian 9 Dan manual is to make use of the zhenqi overflowing from the dantian to nourish one's body, thus reforming and tempering one's bones, muscles, tendons and skin. However, the Heaven's Path Divine Art is different. It uses the spirit energy from the surrounding to nourish one's body, while having the zhenqi in one's body overflow to the other parts of the body at the same time. Gu. The stream of spirit energy flows through his veins towards his entire body. The zhenqi would mend and fill up the incomplete parts, as it flows through his veins. Juxi. It didn't take long for the infusion of both spirit energy and zhenqi to strengthen his bones and muscles. It feels as though it has been tempered with concentrated fire as it turns clear, emitting a warm glow. Boom! After the zhenqi circulates around his body for an unknown number of times, his body suddenly jolts and he feels as though he has broken through a certain bottleneck. A surge of relaxation gushes through his body. Previously, his body feels as though it has been bound by some shackles, but now, his entire body feels light and he has perfect control over every single motion of his. It feels as though he has been broken through his cocoon, to be reborn as a butterfly. Fighter 4 Dan Pigu realm. I have finished cultivating in this realm. Opening his eyes, Zhang Xuan is still in a state of disbelief. The sign of breaking through the Pigu realm is the destruction of the shackles of one's body, allowing one to ascend into greater heights. How long has he been training? 2 hours? 4 hours? Pungent. Curious, he looks at his body, and realizes that there's a layer of filth on the surface of his skin. Pigu realm is the nourishment of one's body using zhenqi, expelling the impurities within one's body and cleansing one's muscles and bones, thus reforming their body. From birth, humans would ingest all kinds of food for survival. As a result, they would accumulate more and more impurities in their body. In the Pigu realm, through the nourishment of zhenqi, one cleanses their body of impurities, and only then are they able to break through the shackles of their body and return back to nature. I have long heard of the Pigu realm, but I have never seen anyone who can expel so much impurities. Smelling the pungent smell from his body, Zhang Xuan couldn't take it anymore. He grabs a pail and cleans himself while muttering under his breath. Fire for Dan Pigu realm is the cleansing of one's muscles and bones. It is already not bad for one to strengthen their body just by a small bit in one sitting. He has never heard of a person expelling so much impurities that their entire body would stink from it. Very quickly, he finished cleaning himself. At this moment, Zhang Xuan suddenly realizes that his body is as clear as a jade and as smooth as a mirror. All of the scars which he accumulated from his previous training sessions have disappeared without a trace. Right now, he is just like a newborn infant, perhaps even smoother than a newborn infant. My zhenqi. Surprised by the changes in his body, his attention turns to his dantian. His entire body trembles. The murky zhenqi that was in his dantian previously has turned to become as clear and water, and it is emitting refreshing fragrance. Without a doubt, it is definitely superior zhenqi. Not only is my body enhanced, even the quality of my zhenqi has improved. This Heaven's Path divine art is too powerful. Zhang Xuan is taken aback. To break through pigu realm, others have to continually nourish their body for at least a few years. However, he took less than 4 hours to break through the realm directly. Not only so, the quality of his zhenqi has been refined. Exactly what kind of secret manual has the Library of Heaven's Path created? This is way too powerful. Let me test my strength. Upon breaking through pigu realm, one would reach Fighter 5 Dan DINGLI. The moment a cultivator steps into this realm, they will possess 1 ding of strength. He walks over to the strength measuring rock pillar, which is just a few dozen meters away from the dormitory. This kind of strength measuring rock pillar can be found around the academy so as to allow the students to measure their strength at any time and anywhere. Upon reaching Fighter 5 Dan DINGLI, one would possess 1 ding of strength, which is around 1,000 kilograms. This kind of strength already exceeds the limits of an ordinary human, and is on par with horses and bulls. After practicing the Heaven's Path divine art, Zhang Xuan's body has been reformed, and he has broken through the pigu realm. This is an opportunity for him to test how much strength he possesses. Will it be like in the rumors, that he would possess 1 ding of strength? Gathering and controlling his breath, the sole of the feet clutches onto the ground. Suddenly, his knees spring forth, and his entire body immediately takes on the shape of a giant bow, while his arm bursts forth from him like an arrow. Pang! His fist strikes on the stone pillar and a glint of light flows on it. 5 ding! A number appears on it. How? How? Is this possible? Zhang Xuan narrows his eyes and a dumbfounded look covers his entire face. Is this for real? For a normal DINGLI primary stage, one would possess 1 ding of strength. In the intermediate stage, one would possess 2 ding of strength. In the advanced stage, 3 ding of strength, and in the pinnacle, 4 ding of strength. Yet, despite barely breaking through the pigu realm to DINGLI realm, he actually possesses 5 ding of strength. What is going on? Isn't this too exaggerated? It must be due to the nourishment of my body by the Heaven's Path divine art and the superior zhenqi in my body. After a short moment, Zhang Xuan recovers from the shock and infers. He is very clear that he isn't a genius. The only explanation for it is the Heaven's Path divine art, which he has just cultivated with. Not only does this cultivation technique temper and reforms his physical body and cleanses his zhenqi, raising it to superior quality, it also increases his strength significantly, thus granting him the strength beyond that of DINGLI pinnacle expert despite just reaching the DINGLI realm. Fearsome. There is only a few esteemed teachers in the academy who reached Fighter 5 Dan. In the academy, only some of the higher level teachers possess the strength of a Fighter 5 Dan DINGLI realm. People like Cao Zhang and him could never hope to reach such heights. Now that I have reached this level, I should go and look for the cultivation technique for 5 Dan. While his strength soars rapidly, a problem arises. The multitude of 4 Dan cultivation techniques that he flipped through in the teacher compendium pavilion previously are useless now. If he wants to continue cultivating, he has to look for 5 Dan cultivation techniques. Right now, it isn't too late. The teacher compendium pavilion shouldn't be closed yet. Scratching his head, Zhang Xuan walks over the compendium pavilion once more. In order to prevent people from getting greedy and hasty in their training, the academy imposed a rule that one can only view cultivation techniques that correspond to the level of their cultivation. It didn't take long for Zhang Xuan to arrive at the compendium pavilion once more. Why are you here again? Seeing that it's the same guy from a moment ago, the custodian, Elder Mo, frowns. This impractical fellow just left the pavilion not long ago. Why is he back again? Elder Mo, I would like to view the cultivation technique for 5 dan. Zhang Xuan is a little awkward. He can't possibly say that he broke through after leaving for just a short moment. If he were to say that, the other fellow would either kill him, or kidnap him to examine him like a lab rat. There isn't much of a change in zhenqi between pigu realm and DINGLI realm. As long as he doesn't manipulate his zhenqi, it is difficult for even experts to tell the difference. Elder Mo may be strong, but it is inconceivable to him that this youth might have broken to greater heights in the short moment he was gone. 5 dan cultivation technique? What do you want it for? Elder Mo's face darkens. His final sliver of appreciation towards his fellow disappears. He didn't copy any notes on the 4 dan cultivation technique, and didn't try to cultivate it. Yet, he is back now to look at the 5 dan? What kind of joke is this? Elder Mo, it is like this. Today, I accepted a student and his parent asked me some questions about 5 dan cultivation. I was unable to answer it, causing him to look down on him. Thus, I would like to take a look and derive an answer to it. This way, I would be able to deal with these questions in the future. Zhang Xuan has already thought of an excuse beforehand. Some parents are indeed troublesome to deal with. Hearing this explanation, Elder Mo nods his head. With a solemn expression, he says, "You can take a look, but do not cultivate them by any means. If you try to cultivate 5 dan without even breaking through 4 dan, even deities would be unable to save you when you go berserk." Yes, I understand that. Zhang Xuan hurriedly replies. All right, enter. Elder Mo waves his hands and closes his eyes. The 5 dan cultivation technique are on the very last row. Yes. Zhang Xuan hurriedly enters. Hypocritical. Vain. After entering, Elder Mo adds 2 more words to his evaluation of Zhang Xuan. So, what if the parents ask about it? You are the lowest level teacher, it is normal that you can't answer their questions. So, in order to put on a show, you specially came here to view the 5 dan cultivation technique. If this isn't being hypocritical and vain, what is it? Tomorrow, I will look for the principal and have this unrealistic fellow expelled. Scoffing coldly in his heart, old Mo's mind is resolute. Leaving such a vain fellow, who doesn't cultivate properly in the academy, will just sully the culture of the academy. Zhang Xuan doesn't know that the 2 meetings with Elder Mo have placed him in the expulsion list of the latter. If he were to know, he would have no idea whether he should burst into laughter or weep in tears. Those words that he said are only excuses. In reality, his cultivation has reached such a level. He can't possibly stop training due to the lack of cultivation technique. Very quickly, he found the very last row of the cultivation technique section. Even the most famous and powerful teacher in the academy is Fighter 5 dan. The moment one breaks through into the 6 dan pig's realm, they would automatically become an elder in the academy. This is only the teacher compendium pavilion, so there aren't any records on the 6 dan cultivation techniques. Thus, the 5 dan cultivation techniques are placed on the very last shelf. There are significantly less 5 dan manuals than 4 dan. There are around 2,000 to 3,000 cultivation techniques secret manuals on the 4 dan, whereas there are only 1,000 on the 5 dan. However, it is also a natural occurrence when one thinks about it. No matter what it is, the higher one climbs, the scarcer the resources. Although the academy has been present for a long time, there are definitely significantly less 5 dan than 4 dan in its entire history. As a result, the cultivation techniques and notes they leave behind would be fewer as well. Shaking his head, he decided not to contemplate over such matters. Zhang Xuan casually takes out a book and flips through it. Around an hour later, the 1000 cultivation techniques secret manuals have been browsed through, and the Library of Heaven's Path has compiled corresponding books to the secret manuals. After receiving what he wants, Zhang Xuan smiles faintly and bids Elder Mo farewell, before walking into the distance. Seeing how he is randomly flipping and viewing the books, not even stopping in the midst of it, Elder Mo can't help but chastise him yet again in his mind. Returning back to his living quarters, Zhang Xuan follows what he did previously and searches for the correct phrases and paragraphs within the 1000 books. As he expected, not too long later, the library compiles the 1000 books into a single one. This time, the book isn't nameless and the 4 big words Heaven's Path Divine Art is written on it. He starts to cultivate again. Fighter 5 Dan DINGLI realm is an extension of the pigu realm. The purpose of this realm is simple: it is to temper the zhenqi of the cultivator to his body. The difference in strength between each stage in DINGLI realm is mainly due to the level of compatibility between one's zhenqi and their body. The greater their compatibility, the more strength one is able to exert. Reading the cultivation method for the DINGLI realm in the Heaven's Path Divine Art, Zhang Xuan focuses his attention. He carefully controls the crystal clear zhenqi in his dantian to slowly flow in his body, going at a fixed rhythm to allow it to merge completely with his body. The Heaven's Path Divine Art is indeed worthy of being a cultivation technique compiled by the advantages of over a few thousand secret manuals. The efficiency of the cultivation method is indeed one to behold. His zhenqi and muscles swiftly merge together as one. The strength of his body and the compatibility of his zhenqi soars up exponentially. DINGLI realm primary stage. DINGLI realm intermediate stage. DINGLI realm advanced stage. DINGLI realm pinnacle. Boom! After 4 hours, his body jolts again. Zhang Xuan reopens his eyes. His eyes are filled with disbelief. This Fighter 5 Dan pinnacle? Initially, he thought he would take a long period cultivating in 5 Dan. Never in his dreams would he possibly imagine that he could reach the pinnacle in 4 hours through the Heaven's Path Divine Art. To his previous self, cultivation is as difficult as trying to ascend the heavens. Yet, to Zhang Xuan, who is practicing the Heaven's Path Divine Art, it is as easy as eating and drinking. Just by half a night worth of effort, he rose from Fighter 3 Dan zhenqi realm to Fighter 5 Dan DINGLI realm pinnacle. This is too exaggerated. Furthermore, if it wasn't for the fact that he didn't know the cultivation method for 6 Dan, unaware of which aku point he should break through, he might have already successfully broken through to become a 6 Dan Pig's realm expert. In 6 Dan Pig's realm, one opens up all of the blocked aku points in their body. For every aku point broken through, one's zhenqi would become richer and one's prowess will rise. It is said that there are 108 aku points in the human body. However, only 72 of these can be opened, and there is an order to opening it. Everyone's body is different, thus everyone would require a different sequence in breaking through each of them to obtain the best results out of it. If one is unable to find the correct sequence, they could very possibly end up only opening 3 to 4 aku points, and be stuck there for the rest of their lives. This is just like cleaning the silt by a river. It has to be cleaned gradually from the upper stream to the lower stream. If one were to start at the center and clean towards the upper and lower stream, not only will the river not be cleaned thoroughly, it might even result in a blockage, causing one to be unable to progress further. The same logic goes for breaking through one's aku points as well. If one doesn't find the ideal sequence, the other aku points might get blocked, and for the rest of their lives, they would be unable to open it. Thus, without a cultivation technique, Zhang Xuan doesn't dare to try to cultivate further. However, he isn't anxious. It is already unheard of to break through 2 great realms in a single night. He is already very satisfied with the results. Unless required, it is best for me to not reveal my level of cultivation. As a transcender, he has read many books and watched many shows. He knows that possessing a treasure itself is a crime. He is the worst teacher in the entire academy. Yet, in a night, he suddenly gains the strength of a fighter 5-dan pinnacle. If others were to find out, won't they all rush to him? Thus, it is best for him to not tell anyone about him reaching DINGLI realm pinnacle. The more confidential it is, the better it is for him. Let me see how much strength would I hold this time. After making a decision, Zhang Xuan walks over to the strength-measuring rock pillar. While other people only possess 1 ding of strength in their DINGLI primary stage, he possessed 5 ding. If so, how much strength would he hold now that he has reached the pinnacle? Peng! Light flows through the rock pillar and numbers appear on it. 8 ding. 8 ding of strength. That is almost the strength of a pig's realm expert, who has opened up 4 coup points. Zhang Xuan's eyes lit up. A normal DINGLI pinnacle cultivator would possess 4 ding of strength. After which, for each coup point they break through, their strength would increase by 1 ding. Despite just being at DINGLI pinnacle, he possesses the strength of 8 ding, putting him on the same level as an expert who has broken through 4 coup points. As expected of the Heaven's Path divine art, incredible. Zhang Xuan is quite happy. After training for such a long period of time, he intends to find something to eat then go to sleep. However, his ears suddenly twitch. Why would someone be here at such a time? Zhang Xuan frowns. Due to an advancement in his cultivation, his hearing and sight have improved tremendously. He is able to clearly perceive the sound of someone hiding somewhere not too far from where he is, staring fixedly at his living quarters. Looks like he is surveying my room. He probably has yet to detect my presence. At this moment, Zhang Xuan isn't at his room but behind a strength-measuring rock pillar, which is a distance away from the dormitory. After measuring his strength, he has been suppressing his breathing, thus the other party has yet to notice his presence. Let's see who's the one finding trouble with me. He didn't expect that someone would want to deal with him right after he is done cultivating. The doubts in his mind grow. Rummaging through the memories of his previous self, although he doesn't have much accomplishment, there hasn't been a scenario where someone sneaked onto in the night to deal with him. No matter who he is, I mustn't let him identify me. Just when he was about to meet the other party, a thought suddenly flashes through his mind. The entire academy knows that he is a fighter 3-dan zhenqi realm trash. If he were to appear at this moment, as a 5-dan pinnacle, the other party would definitely be scared to death. Furthermore, if the news were to spread out, there would surely be quite a few person who would look into him. Thus, no matter who the other party is, Zhang Xuan mustn't allow him to identify him. At this moment, he suddenly recalls the numerous movies he has watched back in his previous life. Thus, he tears away a fabric from his sleeves and covers his face. Who? After finishing with his preparations, making use of the darkness of the night, Zhang Xuan gradually creeps towards the other party with light footsteps. Although he has just broken through and he has never studied any footwork, the cultivation technique he is training with is the Heaven's Path divine art, which grants him superb control over his body. Not to mention, he is also very familiar with his surroundings, so the other party didn't notice him even when he is just 10 meters behind him. At such a proximity, he could clearly see the black suit donned by the other party. His face is also covered, so it is impossible for him to make out his identity as well. Lad, if you must blame, blame it for your daring guts to dare to lay your hands on our young mistress. Hiding behind a large tree, Zhang Xuan stares at the silhouette before him as the mutterings of the latter vaguely drift to his ears. That voice sounds familiar. Zhang Xuan's eyebrows knit tightly together. Zhang Xuan is sure that he had heard this voice before. However, he has difficulty recalling exactly when and where he heard it. Who? Just as he is trying his best to recall whether it is the memory of his previous self, or after he has transcended the silhouette, before him flickers and gradually moves towards his dormitory. At the same time, with a flick of his wrist, a cold gleam shines and a sharp dagger appears on his palm.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you